Hey, welcome back to Mr. Peterson's YouTube channel. I am Peterson, and this is Potato TV. First things first, got to give a shout out to the t-shirt. Love the t-shirts. Check this one out. For the homies. Yeah. No, this is not Thug Life. This is Meow Meow Life. All right. This is a video that's going to cover my annual prediction for U.S. politics. As some of you are aware, and I definitely tooted my own horn here. A couple of years ago, I was one of very few people who predicted that Donald J. Trump would capture the Red Party's nomination. Red Party is the Republicans, and that he would also defeat Hillary Clinton. I was scoffed at, I was laughed at, and I was right. I was very right. Haven't had that much time to go through this political cycle. So my predictions are going to be a tad bit vague, not very specific like the election from 2 years ago. But let's take a look at the map here. A couple things to point out and show. For those of you that don't know, there are several different branches of the United States federal government, one being the courts, U.S. Supreme Court. We also have the presidency, which was an election 2 years ago. They go every 4 years. And then we have the legislative branch, which is divided into two different houses. The House that represents the people based on the population is the U.S. House of Representatives. They serve 2-year terms and they have to be elected once again every 2 years. Whereas representatives of the state, there's two U.S. senators per state, and they serve terms of 6 years. So they're not always up for the election cycles, but some of them are. But let's take a look at the U.S. House of Representatives. There's a total of 435, and they have to spread them out based on the total percentage of the United States population. I know you can't see Florida and Georgia in the southeast because my face is there, but we'll go over to California. As you can see, California is right here, and we have all of these little dots here. Well, each dot is a person that represents the size of the population. We come out here to the Midwest, we got one for the entire state. And it doesn't matter how many, but we could have two people in that state. This state would have to have at least one representative. But that's the minimum. And of course, maximum is based on 435th, one 435th of the population. And of course, California, there's a mass amount of people. Look at all those bubbles, New York up here, Pennsylvania. If you could see Florida, Florida's got quite a few too, but California is definitely the biggest. 435 seats right now. The Red Party, the Republicans have a decent majority, but there's been a lot of anti-Republican and anti-Trump movement going on out there. In terms of competitiveness, now they have a thing called gerrymandering. Not these guys here. There's no way to gerrymander districts for the U.S. Congress here because the entire state is involved. But here they'll draw lines, all taking out a portion that benefits one party over another. Like if Southeast Los Angeles, let's say, is more of the red party um, than the blue party. The blue party will go off to the west or the north to get more blue party members in it. Therefore, any red party member won't have that much of a chance. And you're going to see these with the percentage numbers. Take a look at this. Here we have one of very few red party districts here. But they have a strong 22-point lead over their blue party member. It's a sign that is a pretty strong district for the red party. It's going to be really tough to overcome those odds. We go here and look at this one, the blue party. This is Maxine Waters, if you've ever seen her on TV. She does have a challenger whose name is Navarro. But she has a 56-point lead over her opponents. So it's pretty much a safe bet that Maxine Waters won't lose her seat. But then we come over here and we'll check that out. It's such a strong blue section that there isn't even a red party candidate to even challenge. Well, what's probably happened is that there was another blue party member candidate that challenged Brown in District 44 in the same party. So it was blue party versus blue party in the primary election, which was previous. Then we hit something like this, and we have a very competitive race. It's got the lead here for Porter for the blue party by only 2 points, and that is not a very big lead at all. This is actually a very competitive district. And this one over here, 41 points for the blue party. Down here is another party, blue party lead of only 2 points. And so what I do is I look for those kind of races, and I see where they're relatively close. And I actually think that those two sections there, I believe that the red party is going to take those seats. So we're going to see, at least in California, by the time the election is over, we're going to have a couple more of those red dots in California instead of blue dots. But here's something really interesting. This is my home district from back home. And it's a guy named Duffy, and he is in the red party. He's a Republican, so he's with the party of Trump. And he's got a 25% lead, and I still believe that he's going to win that seat. But what's really weird is that 70 to 75% of that district are blue party people. Only 20, 25, maybe, yeah, about 25%, maybe 30% of the people are red. They're registered as red party candidates. So it's very strange. And U.S. politics is pretty strange. So, with all that being said, even though whether you know a lot about U.S. politics or not know a lot about U.S. politics, doesn't matter. That's okay. I have a lot of fun with this stuff. I just love the political machine, even though I really don't like politicians all that much. House of Representatives, 435 seats total, 435 different elections on election night coming up in a couple of weeks. Right now, the Red Party has a majority by a few seats. For the most part, there are about 31 or 33 competitive races and 6 seats that are up for grabs. It means they retired, the candidate had moved on to a different position or actually died. The blue party, to get a majority in the House with all the safe seats and pretty much, I'm pretty sure that the seats will go to the Democrats, the blue party. They actually only need to win 10 of those 31 or 33 toss-up elections in order to get a 1 vote or more majority. And that predictions are saying that it's going to be something called a blue wave, which means that almost all of those 31 seats are going to go towards the blue party, and I think some of them will. But I also think that some of the safer but yet competitive blue areas might actually turn around and go red. But I think that the U.S. House of Representatives is going to have a Democratic majority, but not by much. And a majority would have to be 218. I think that by the end of the night, the House of Representatives will have no more than 223 Democrat seats, and the remainder will be Republican. So that's going to be a six vote majority, and that's not very much. So the political machine is going to be really fun to watch. They'll be doing a lot of arguing without getting anything done. Now, one thing that they would love to do, I think this is their top priority of the Blue Party, is to impeach President Trump. And impeach means try to get fired. The thing about that, even with a small blue majority, they could actually impeach the president, saying the president did something wrong, the president did something bad, the president did something unconstitutional, and that he should be fired. The House will impeach. That means he has been formally charged with some sort of transgression that he has to answer for. But the thing is, he's got to answer that in a trial that is done by the U.S. Senate. And so anybody out there that's following the Trump impeachment possibility is going to be sadly disappointed. Even if he is impeached in the House, which I doubt, but if it happens, the impeachment trial has to go to the U.S. Senate, and that is where things will happen here. There we go. That's where things are going to get really, really tricky. That's where it's going to not go so well for the Blue Party. Yeah, we have quite a few U.S. senators up for election. Again, each state has two senators representing the state body, not um, every 2 years, but it's every 6 years. Here we see that pretty much the dark blue states are heavily favored to go towards the Democrats. I do believe, I don't see that there's going to be any kind of an upset. There would have been an upset, I think, right here. Stop that. Right here, that WV, that's West Virginia, it's a light blue. It means the state is leaning towards the Democrats. And that senator, he's an incumbent. I forget what his name is. What is it here? Yeah, Manchin. He actually is the only Democrat that voted for Trump's U.S. Supreme Court nominee Kavanaugh. And I think the reason why he did is that he probably would have been voted out of the U.S. Senate had he not done so. WV, West Virginia, is a very red state. But he had won his election, and now I think he won 6 years ago, and now I think he wants to keep that election. So he's a very, very conservative Blue Party member. And that once again, he was the only one that voted for Brett Kavanaugh, the U.S. Supreme Court nominee from President Trump. Safe bet, Mississippi here. There's two U.S. senators, both of the Red Party, both Republicans. That's probably a safe bet. As it stands now, as you see on the map, if everything goes the way it's predicted here, if everything goes, it would be 50 U.S. senators for the Red Party and 45 for the Blue Party. And why it's 45 is we have what's called the toss-up states here. Those toss-up states, it's so close to call, they could go either way. They're not so strong in one party or the other. It could be a case of like West Virginia, where the majority is more blue than they are red, but they will vote red. Florida is definitely a toss-up. They go back and forth between red and blue. Arizona is much more of a red state, but it's a very highly competitive race. Nevada is much more of a blue state, but once again, it is a very, very competitive race. So right now, even at best case scenario, those toss-up states of Nevada, Arizona, Missouri, Indiana, and Florida, say they all go blue, it's still a 50-50 split, and the tiebreaker goes to the Vice President of the United States, Vice President Pence. Therefore, it would go to the Red Party. It would go to Donald Trump and his agenda. By the way, Pence is from this state up here, IM, which is Indiana. That's one state I think is going to go red. I also think Arizona might go red. Florida will go red. Nevada, I am going to go out on a limb here and say that will go red. So by the end of the day, the Red Party is actually going to pick up more seats. Right now, I think I stated this, if not, it is a 51 red, 49 blue majority between the two parties of the U.S. Senate, and by the end of the night on election night, I think it is going to be 54 red and 46 blue, which makes it stronger for the Red Party and Donald J. Trump, and that's it. So, recap of my election prediction. I think the U.S. House will go to the blue party, to the Democrats, but not by much. It'll be a 223 majority. And the U.S. Senate will get stronger for the red party, 54-46 split, which will make for a whole lot of argument, and not much gets done for the next 2 years. And boy, in 2 years, is it going to be a fun election. All right. If you actually stayed and watched this whole thing, good on you. Good on you. A lot of people don't care about politics, and I don't blame you either. But it's been a passion ever since I was really young. I remember throwing socks and shoes at the television against President Jimmy Carter, going boo, and of course my family, most of them would have voted for President Carter. I have to be the oddball of the family, but that's just the way it goes. It stuck with me. I love politics, but I hate politicians. Anyways, peace. Enjoy your week. Have a good one. Bye.